Hey guys, so I am finally back from Japan, and oh boy, has there been a lot of information that has dropped since I have been gone. Specifically, I think there has been quite a few changes with the classes that I played last league, including Hollow Palm as a league starter. And last league, Hollow Palm, I would say, was definitely one of the best, if not the best league starter for anybody who was not playing a caster. I'd say that if you wanted to, let's say, bring a character from campaign to endgame easily, you would probably play Hollow Palm because you just didn't need a weapon. It was something that scaled you through the game. And as a result, it was just a very, very easy and stress-free process. And the build itself also scaled well into the late game if you wanted to continue playing that playstyle. Now, since then, GG has given us an update to the Hollow Palm technique. And as we can see right here, Hollow Palm technique now grants 1% more attack speed per 75 item evasion rating on equipped armor versus 25, which is an enormous nerf. Like, this is absolutely insane. Now, they did make it so that the base attack time is going to 1.65 seconds as opposed to 1.4, so that is a slight buff. But this right here, this change to 75 item evasion rating instead of 25 is a massive nerf, especially in the end game, that we just can't get over. So does that mean that Hollow Palm is dead? Well, as a leveling ability, as a leveling archetype, I don't think it's dead at all. In fact, I do think that it got buffed, because this is really the only thing that got changed right here. The fact that you get less attack speed per evasion rating. But as you're going through the campaign, it's not like your equipment has that much evasion rating anyways. So as a result, this base unarmed attack speed is going to be the more impactful number, meaning that this buff is actually a buff to Hollow Palm during the campaign. So if you're looking to level up with Hollow Palm, this is going to be an even better experience than before. And I would highly recommend anybody who is trying to get through the campaign smoothly with a martial weapon class to potentially think about leveling it as Hollow Palm, because it is, again, one of the most smooth leveling processes ever. But unfortunately, that is where it ends when you're leveling during the campaign. Maybe potentially even near the end of the campaign, Hollow Palm will start falling off compared to a quarterstaff, because unfortunately, the attack speed was something that we really, really needed with Hollow Palm. But not only that, if this was the only nerf, that wouldn't be the end of the world for Hollow Palm in the end game. The biggest thing, and it was kind of to be expected, right, was the nerf to Culmination. Culmination was the support that made it so that our attacks could gain combo. So any attack could gain combo. And the thing with Culmination last league was that it was infinitely scaling. So the more combo that you had, the more damage that your ability dealt, which was what happened last league with the Falling Thunder combo that everybody was running. And if you look back at any of the Hollow Palm builds, they will all be running this Culmination tech with Falling Thunder or another big nuking skill, because that was really the best way for them to be able to kill bosses. If they didn't use this technique, they kind of had to go the old-fashioned way of hitting the bell with Ice Strike, which wasn't a very, very good alternative. Now, Bell did get buffed this league, so Tempest Bell now has a bigger impact radius and has a bigger hitbox now. But unfortunately, that doesn't help with damage. And that's really what you're lacking with the Ice Strike Bell combo, which is damage, which is where the Culmination tech with Falling Thunder came into play. But unfortunately, now that there is a cap to the amount of combo that you can do with Culmination, that really means that the one-shotting capabilities of Hollow Palm are completely gone. Now, the reason why we needed this was because Hollow Palm lacks something really, really big, and that is a weapon. And during the campaign, that is not as big of a deal because the level scaling on weapon just isn't that high during the campaign. But when you get to the end game, your quarterstaff can give you up to +7 levels to your melee skills, which if we are looking at a skill, let's say like, I don't know, Flicker Strike, right? Flicker Strike, we can see right here, will scale from level 20 to level 27, right? Let's just say the 7 levels base, from 327% damage all the way up to 550% damage. That is almost a 2x increase in your damage just based off of your levels on your weapon. So as you can see, Hollow Palm missing that +7 levels really hurts the amount of damage I could do in terms of ceiling. And that's why we needed the Culmination combo to make it so that we could deal more damage and scale our damage higher and higher. Because the positive side of Hollow Palm was that we had a lot of attack speed. So the more attacks we had, the faster we could build combo. And as a result, we had an infinitely scaling form of damage that we could build the combo really quickly, then just one-shot the bosses. Now, we both lost the attack speed and the infinite damage scaling, so that just means that, unfortunately, if we want to use Hollow Palm in the end game, it'll probably be fine during mapping, but when it comes to bossing, it's really gonna struggle. Now, the other thing that I do want to mention is that Gathering Storm did get a buff. This was a combo that I showed off with the kind of one-punch Hollow Palm boss killer method that did still use Culmination, but at the same time, because Gathering Storm did get buffed, I thought in my mind there was a potential that Gathering Storm could act as an alternative to that, because now instead of having a maximum of 8 shockwaves plus 2, which was 10, we can now have a maximum of 20 shockwaves plus 8 for Gathering Storm. And with Gathering Storm, the reason why we did so much damage was because of the shockwave part. What we would do is we would use Frost Walls and then use Gathering Storm and take advantage of the shockwaves from the Frost Walls we would get from breaking them to one-shot the bosses. And if there are more shockwaves, which there are a lot more shockwaves from Gathering Storms, I was like, maybe we could do a lot more damage. But when I thought about it and looked at the footage from the Gathering Storm gameplay that I had from before, unfortunately, we were never really even hitting this cap of 10 shockwaves because there just weren't that many frost walls for us to break in the first place. So this maximum 20 shockwaves per use, 28, I guess, is basically not relevant. So unfortunately, our kind of one way out that I was thinking of just doesn't really work that well. Now, the last thing I did want to go over is going to be Thunderfist Crackling Palm, which there was a good number of people who used this as a part of their Hollow Palm kit. Though I think the verdict on this was that it never did enough damage to really make a difference, so people were really just using it as a utility ability. And I'm going to be honest, this buff right here, wow, it's great. 50% base crit chance up from 5% and deals 40% more lightning damage at all levels. That is amazing. But unfortunately, I just don't think it's going to be enough to really make or break the Hollow Palm ability. Because at the end of the day, 40% lightning damage is nice, 50% base crit is nice, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't doing any damage at all, pretty much. It was really just tickling monsters. So pretty much just like 40% of 0 is basically still 0, right? So I don't think this is going to make a huge difference. So unfortunately, what that means is at the end of the day, if you want to play Hollow Palm, you're probably only going to be able to play it during the campaign. And if you want to seriously play Hollow Palm in the end game, it's probably not going to be possible. Again, you're probably going to use it for mapping. And even then, it's going to feel a lot worse because your attack speed's so much lower. But when it really comes to push and shove, the bossing just is going to be absolutely abysmal. So as a result, you're going to have to want to swap over to quarterstaff if you still want to play quarterstaff skills slash kind of the monk playstyle, because the +7 levels that you get on that quarterstaff is just so much damage. And that really is, again, one of the biggest problems with Path of Exile 2 right now is that plus levels, especially on the weapon, is just so important for any single build that when you go without it, you're just not doing enough damage to tackle the end game. Now, again, the end game ceiling isn't that high, so yeah, you will be able to do it. You will be able to do Ice Strike Bell. You will be able to just manage with that and kill bosses. It's not like you're not being able to do the end game. It's just that it's not going to be as comfortable as it was before. and probably not as comfortable as most builds out there. Again, if you want to play Hollow Palm, if you're a hardcore Hollow Palm player, it's not like the build is dead. You can play it in the end game. It will work, but it's going to be a lot worse feeling than last league, unfortunately. So for me, I'm probably not going to be playing Hollow Palm as a league starter. Maybe I'll use it as a leveling experience. We'll see, because it is probably one of the best leveling abilities, leveling skills, leveling nodes in the game. And as a result, we're going to want to use that to take advantage of it and get to the end game as quickly as possible. But yeah, that's about it, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Again, a huge bummer. Let me know how you feel about this change down in the comment section below. And again, I am finally back from Japan, so I'm going to be making a ton of videos leading up to the league launch. And during the league launch, I will be streaming all day, twitch.tv/BSoExtra. And of course, I also stream there every single day. So hopefully I get to see you guys there. But if not, hopefully I'll see y'all on the next video. All right, guys. Peace.